demonstrating the near present.
Hey, how's it going there, folks? Thanks for stopping by another Wilhelm ADHD video. So, for today we're going to talk about supplements and how to build a supplement plan. But anyway though, enough of the infomercial. Let's dive into the 7 rules we should consider when creating a supplement plan. Let's take a look. Rule number 1, some supplements work great with some people while some do not. It's going to be a trial and error process. If you notice you're getting bad side effects, whether that be itchiness, dry skin, gum pain, watery eyes, or I don't know, passing out, stuff like that, yeah, the supplement might not be for you. Rule number 2, aim to get supplements that are of good quality with little to no artificial ingredients. Lots of artificial ingredients / food colorings negatively impact ADHD. So really take that into consideration. Number 3, start at the lowest dosage possible and work up if necessary. Some supplements are very effective for some people at certain doses, while being really ineffective for other people at that same dose. Trial and error process. Number 4, try to avoid simultaneously taking supplements that do the same thing. L-theanine and L-tryptophan, for example. Number 5, do your own research as well. Also follow up. Guess what, folks? The research changes. Point number 6, consider getting your neurotransmitters tested. Number 7, to assess whether a supplement is working effectively, reflect and take note to see if the symptoms you're trying to assist are being assisted efficiently, enough or lack thereof. So those are the rules and things to consider, really important things to consider when trying out or going through the trial and error process of supplement intake. So I just want to let you all know that underneath in the description section, I've left a bunch of links to a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about here, including the list of supplements and also including a downloadable PDF/Word doc or whatever the hell, we'll see what ends up happening, where you can download it, and that way you can see the list and see the neurotransmitter and see the little recommendations on the side, and then also perhaps write down perhaps something you found that works for you, and then you can digress from there and take notes. So now let's go on to the part where we talk about the supplement plan to consider for those who take stimulant medication, because there are some important things we need to consider when we're taking stimulant medication, because stimulant medication brings over a lot of side effects and can alter a lot of physiological stuff. So we need to take care of ourselves and be more on the safe side if we indeed plan on doing that. And also, taking supplements is also greatly helpful for assisting the medication and helping the medication work to its full potential. So that's why I think pairing the two, supplements and stimulant medication, can be quite helpful when done in a safe, rational manner. So now let's talk about the supplements we can take to assist our ADHD. when taking stimulant medication as well. Let's take a look. Number 1, CoQ10. Now, I don't mean to sound like a little drama queen here, but I really do feel like a lot of hospitals and psychiatrists should start recommending coenzyme 10, which is what CoQ10 is short for. Should really recommend it to their clients who take stimulant medication, because stimulant medication increases your heart rate and blood pressure, and sometimes to dangerous levels. So coenzyme 10, CoQ10, is really helpful for keeping your blood pressure and heart rate stable. Now let's find out, what is CoQ10? CoQ10 is an antioxidant that your body produces naturally. Your cells use CoQ10 for growth and maintenance. Your body naturally produces CoQ10, but makes less of it the older you get. CoQ10 helps keep your heart rate and blood pressure stable. Both of those tend to rise up when you take ADHD stimulant medication, and this can cause problems. So now we see on the table here, we see the addition of CoQ10, coenzyme 10. I take it by the company Jura Formulas, only 100 milligrams, quite helpful, and keeps my heart rate and blood pressure stable. So definitely a keeper, and one of the earliest supplements I started taking in my journey of supplementing. So let's move on. Number 2, magnesium, chelated buffered magnesium. Magnesium, particularly chelated buffered magnesium, is one of the best absorbed forms of magnesium that is great for digestion, especially in helping the body digest stimulant medication. It is also helpful for ATP synthesis, which people with ADHD seem to have an issue with due to a gene mutation within the ADP through ATP cycle. As we now see on the table here, we have magnesium, chelated buffered magnesium to be exact. Really helpful, helps digest food, and is beneficial in so many ways. Magnesium, I really feel, is a very underrated supplement, and that a lot of people, I really feel, should be taking. And since this is the most absorbed type, meaning that your body is going to absorb this the most, yeah, I really recommend it. It's really good. It helps digest the medication, helps smoothen out the medication, and was one of the earliest supplements, along with coenzyme 10, that I started taking when my journey began with stimulant medication in my mid-20s, and it's been of great assistance. So I recommend it for those of you who take stimulant medication, perhaps. Let's go on now to the next point. We go on now to point number 3. We got the omega oils. Now, a lot of research has been done to the omega oils, and we've seen how beneficial they are for a good amount of things. In this case, they're really good for ADHD. They're really helpful in a different variety of ways if you look into the assistance that omega oils 3, 6, and 9 do. If we take a look at the picture above, there you go. You'll see some of the benefits brought forth from omega oils 3, 6, and 9. And like I mentioned earlier, there's an ADHD medication that is basically just PS100 and the 3 omega oils. And a lot of people have said it's quite helpful because it's not stimulant medication, because not everybody wants to take stimulant medication. Nonetheless, if you are taking stimulant medication, though, the omega oils are very, very essential. So, as we now see, we have a new assistant on the table here. We got good old flaxseed oil, 1,000 milligrams. Flaxseed oil carries omega oils 3, 6, and 9. The reason why I don't take fish oil is because fish oil causes me to break out, and a lot of fish oil has mercury in it, which is not good for you, and a bunch of other stuff. So I prefer to take flaxseed oil because I feel it gets the job done, minus the shenanigans that fish oil brings. For me, it doesn't mean fish oil won't work for you. There's a lot of people I know who take fish oil that find a lot of benefit from it. But for me, it's flaxseed oil. So to each their own. Anyway, let's move on now to the next point. Number 4, we got a multivitamin, preferably an organic one with B12 methylcobalamin. When taking stimulant medication, your body is going to need quite a bit of vitamins and nutrients. And a multivitamin can be quite helpful for this. So, I remember when I first started taking stimulant medication and I wasn't taking a multivitamin, I would get random little side effects that completely went away when I started taking a multivitamin. And this is perhaps due to the more of an increased need for certain nutrients and vitamins, because when you take stimulant medication, your body goes through some changes and you are going to need some extra nutrients and vitamins, so a multivitamin can be beneficial for that. As we can see on the table here, I have a multivitamin that I take. I have this gummy multivitamin that I take called Nutrimin Vitamin Gummies. Really helpful. And it has the B12 methylcobalamin form. Who'd have thunk it? So, quite good. And maybe something you might want to try out. There are plenty of other companies that do great multivitamins. This just happens to be the one I take and I like, because it's one of the few I found that has the B12 methylcobalamin form. So, that's what I take. Let's go on to the next point. Number 5, stimulant medication gives some people difficulty with sleep. What can we do about that? Melatonin. Melatonin, particularly 300 micrograms of melatonin, is considered an optimal dosage of melatonin from studies. The human brain secretes melatonin, yet due to people with ADHD lacking serotonin, a precursor to melatonin, we lack melatonin. Supplementing with melatonin before going to sleep can greatly assist with sleep quality. As we can see now, we have a new assistant to the table. We have melatonin here, 300 micrograms as mentioned. I take it from the company Life Extension. And the cool thing is it's a 6-hour timed release. So it's not like most supermarkets or grocery stores that sell melatonin that's an instant release. What happens with a lot of instant release melatonin is that the brain will secrete, the pineal gland particularly, will secrete melatonin almost like instantly, just in the beginning, and then boom, the rest of the night you have low quality or little to no melatonin. So what I like about this company is that it has a 6-hour time release, so you can get melatonin throughout the night as opposed to just in the beginning. And that lower dosage of 300 micrograms for some reason seems to be more efficient, from what people have told me and from reviews I've seen. And I gotta say, from my own anecdotal evidence, from what I experienced, 300 micrograms of melatonin seems to be optimal. Now, let's go on to the next point. Alright, number 6, next point. Stimulant medication crash. This has to do because there are low levels of dopamine and norepinephrine. What ends up happening is after your brain has had the help and assistance from stimulant medication throughout the day, the 6-hour or 12-hour release one, there's different hours. What ends up happening is that after your medication wears off, your dopamine and norepinephrine levels, and also I guess serotonin as well, since it's slightly increased with stimulant medication, yeah, they're gonna be lower than they usually are. It's going to take your brain just a little time to readjust back to homeostasis, meaning the natural levels your brain makes of those neurotransmitters. So what can be done to assist with that is to take a supplement that helps out with dopamine and norepinephrine, taking it maybe 30 minutes to an hour before your medication wears off. That way you'll be able to avoid the medication crash, which is a feeling of either sadness or irritability or just outright just apathy and lethargy that some people go through once the ADHD medication wears off. So as we can see now, we got N-acetyltyrosine back on the table again, same one from earlier, and we have grapeseed extract. So if your medication is wearing off and you're not going to take medication again that day, taking grapeseed extract might be helpful. See, that's what I do, because I just take 1 dosage a day. So I take grapeseed extract when the dosage wears off, because this helps out with dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, and adrenaline as well, but mainly focusing on dopamine, norepinephrine. So it helps pick those things back up, so that way I avoid the crash. And N-acetyltyrosine does that as well, just with dopamine and norepinephrine. So some options to consider for that. Let's go on to the next point. And for the final point here, in creating a supplement plan, First, stimulant medication as well is number 7, stimulant medication losing effectiveness. Stimulant medication is reported to stop working as effectively as it did earlier on for a good amount of people with ADHD. This has to do with our reward system, dopamine and serotonin. Even though stimulant medication does increase serotonin, it is rather slight in comparison to dopamine and norepinephrine. Research has shown that if dopamine keeps being increased at larger amounts, serotonin levels start to go down. This also happens vice versa. This can cause major irritability and to feel like the medication is not working as effectively as it used to. The fact that if you continuously take stimulant medication, your dopamine is going to keep rising up along with norepinephrine, but your serotonin is going to go down. So some people can get really on edge and angry. So what I do is I'll take those two supplements. So what I'll do is I'll take those 2 supplements around mealtime, whether it be lunch or whether it be breakfast for some people. And then I find that doing this helps my medication work more effectively. And I find that doing this helps my medication work more effectively. Because what ends up happening is a lot of people are given the option by their psychiatrist or hospital to increase the dosage of their medication. And I really don't feel that's the smartest thing to do. At least for me, I don't do that. I don't want to increase my dosage. My dosage is quite low and it works for me because it's my therapeutic dose. Your therapeutic dose is a dosage that's effective for helping out your condition as opposed to a dosage that's for having a good time, which is not recommended. So with my optimal dose of stimulant medication, I'll take N-acetyltyrosine and L-tryptophan because I take lower than 20 milligrams. But for those of us who take higher stimulant medication dosages, i.e. 20 milligrams or higher, yeah, then perhaps you might want to try out N-acetyltyrosine with L-theanine instead. L-theanine, as mentioned earlier, is a supplement that helps out with serotonin, but just to a lesser extent. It's also lower in the dosage amount. So that's something you might want to consider. So the reason why I take supplements around food is because a lot of supplements I take are required to be taken with food. Otherwise your stomach is going to feel like crap. So it's helpful to take them with food. And I pair these with other supplements that could be taken with or without food. So I figure, let me take them all at the same time. Now, in this video, I don't really talk about the time of the day when I take supplements or when to take supplements. I just talk about creating a supplement plan. But if you're curious as to how I take my supplements throughout the day and how I pair them, I have a video that goes into full detail about that. There's a link above if you want to check that out. So now we see 2 new guests on the table. We see good old L-tryptophan, 500 milligrams, helpful for serotonin. And we also see L-theanine, 100 milligrams, helpful for serotonin, but just a little less strong compared to L-tryptophan. So, believe it or not, I know it's been a long time, but that about wraps it up for today. Making a supplement plan, as you can see, not an easy process. When we try out these supplements, we gotta take notes as to how effective they're being, how they're impacting us, are they being efficient, are they bringing more positive than negatives. It's a trial and error process, but the reason why I made this video is because a lot of people do want to try out supplements who have ADHD and other conditions too, but they might not know how to go about it. But they might not know how to go about it. So hopefully this video brought some insight as to how to create a supplement plan for yourself, or maybe someone you know with ADHD. So remember to talk to your doctor, your healthcare professional, to be on the safe side. Remember, I truly believe that supplements can really make a big difference. They have for me, and they have for people that I've worked with as well. So maybe they might for you, maybe they might not, but I really feel it's worth a try. Hopefully this video was of some motivation for you to get help for yourself and your ADHD, or maybe for a friend or family member who has ADHD. Anyway folks, this is Wilhelm. Your ADHD comrade, over and out.